Hey book readers, normal is overrated. That's why today I'm sharing a handful of whimsical books with unconventional characters that you won't soon forget. This one goes out to all the weirdos, oddballs, and outrageous personalities out there. First up is Tuf Voyaging by George R.R. Martin. This is a collection of short stories featuring the protagonist, Haviland Tuf, a perceptive, eccentric, tells it like it is character who I fell in love with and just couldn't get enough of. Physically, he's extremely tall, overweight, bald, and he has pale skin. He sometimes proudly wears a green dad-style baseball hat with his spaceship's logo, but he may also go undercover with a red wig and beard, which fools no one because of his size and this super recognizable look that he has. Tuf is a not-so-savvy interstellar merchant until he comes into possession of the Ark, a gigantic spaceship loaded with one-of-a-kind future tech that everyone else in the universe just covets to own. Although this colossal vessel, the Ark, was once crewed by hundreds or thousands, Tuf is confident and cocky enough to run it by himself. He uses this unrivaled ship to solve the problems of planets and people through ecological engineering, meaning he grows plants and creatures that fix what seems unfixable. Oh, and he's a die-hard cat person. Each short story presents Tuf with a different ecological challenge, although some do have recurring characters in them. Whether another character is holding a conversation with Tuf or trying to outsmart or outmaneuver him in some way, it's fun seeing how Tuf reacts to and then interacts with these other characters. George R.R. Martin clearly had a lot of fun creating this character, and it shows. A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman. An expert at creating quirky characters, Bachman's best may be Ove. He's the living, breathing embodiment of a curmudgeon, a grumpy old man who believes there's one right way to do just about anything, and if you're not doing it his way, you're doing it wrong. Although Ove may have a tough exterior and strong opinions, after some new neighbors move in next door, we get to slowly see his edges soften and learn the reasons behind his pain and irritability, revealing the loving, warm-hearted man beneath it all. Ove may be humorless, but this book certainly isn't. There's no shortage of funny little moments. It feels Seinfeldian in how it's just the mundane, everyday things and absurd circumstances that Bachman creates hilarious scenes out of. Pnin by Vladimir Nabokov. I read this back in college, and Timofey Pavlovich Pnin still sticks with me. He's an exiled Russian professor who teaches Russian at a fictional university in New York in the 1950s. He gets on wrong trains, takes clownish falls downstairs, and generally lives in his own little world. Described as a bald man with glasses, Pnin struggles to be completely understood by anyone, including his students, and his English pronunciations and slips of the tongue in social situations are often laugh-out-loud funny. He's a bumbling, likable intellectual who is still in love with his American ex-wife, and while he deserves respect due to his position and past, he just can't seem to maintain his dignity in any circle. During this quick novella, you feel bad about Pnin's housing situation as he finds himself on the verge of homelessness, yet you can't help but laugh at him as he tries to get out of this pickle, only to find himself in another one. Pnin is a lot like Mr. Magoo. He blunders into problems and he just can't seem to get out of his own way. Britt-Marie Was Here by Frederick Bachman. Bachman's back, back again. Bachman's back, tell a friend. This time we're talking about Britt-Marie. She's a charming, socially awkward woman with OCD about cleaning who's trying to figure out exactly who she is after splitting up with her cheating ex-husband. So she moves to a tiny village and becomes the manager of a community rec center and the coach of a kids' soccer team. Of course, half the characters she interacts with are as kooky as her. It's filled with much of the same wit and humor in Bachman's other books, as well as the small-town adventure that he does so well. But by the end, you'll fall in love with Britt-Marie and be pulling for her in everything that she does. The Stranger in the Woods by Michael Finkel. We're shifting into a non-fiction read with a book that's stuck with me since I read it 6 years ago. This is the true story of Christopher Knight, aka the North Pond Hermit. He's a man who walked away from normal life and lived by himself in the woods in Maine for 27 years. Sounds like a lovely retirement plan, except for the fact that he wasn't staying warm in a cozy cabin by a roaring fire sipping hot cocoa. This guy was doing what he had to do to stay warm, stay fed, and stay sane, especially during the brutal winters of Maine. It's a fascinating book that gives you a glimpse into the life and mindset of the North Pond Hermit. You'll discover how he lived for nearly 3 decades in this way and get answers to some of the burning questions anyone would have for a person who lived in near total isolation for that long, like, why did you do it? There you have it, 5 novels with weird and wonderful protagonists who will live rent-free in your mind for a long time. Remember to like and subscribe. Happy reading.